Fire and Ash is the third major film in the Avatar franchise created by director James Cameron, continuing the science fiction and fantasy saga set on the alien moon Pandora. It is officially titled Avatar, Fire and Ash and is scheduled for a global theatrical release on December 19, 2025, following several delays over the years due to the project's immense scale, technological demands, and global events affecting production timelines. The film is directed and co-written by James Cameron, with a screenplay by Cameron alongside Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, and story contributions also from Josh Friedman and Shane Salerno. It is produced by Lightstorm Entertainment in association with 20th Century Studios, and continues the expansive world-building that began with Avatar in 2009 and Avatar, The Way of Water in 2022. The film will play in theaters worldwide in premium formats like IMAX and 3D to deliver the most immersive experience possible. This film returns the audience to Pandora, a richly detailed world filled with glowing forests, floating mountains, vast oceans, and diverse ecosystems inhabited by the indigenous Na'Siks, tall blue-skinned humanoid beings living in deep spiritual connection with their environment. The central narrative thread picks up approximately a year after the events of Avatar, The Way of Water, where the Sully family, led by Jake Sully and Neytiri, is dealing with the profound emotional fallout following the tragic death of their son Medium. This loss shapes much of the emotional core of Fire and Ash, as the director emphasized that this installment explores themes of grief, loss, trauma, and the effort to break cycles of violence, examining how characters cope with powerful emotions and strive for healing amid external conflict. In Fire and Ash, the Sully family becomes entangled with new factions and cultures on Pandora, expanding the lore far beyond what was seen in previous films. One major new group introduced in this chapter is a previously unseen Na'Siks tribe known as the Ash People or Manquan clan, who dwell in volcanic regions and have adapted to survive in harsh, fiery landscapes. This tribe is portrayed as more aggressive and morally complex compared to earlier Na'Siks clans, challenging the franchise's earlier binary of good Na'Siks versus bad humans by presenting an internal Na'Siks conflict that tests alliances and oppositions on Pandora. Their leader, Varang, portrayed by Una Chaplin, brings a commanding presence and represents a force deeply connected to the elemental theme of fire, an embodiment of destruction, transformation, and the primal power harnessed by her people. Reports indicate that this tribe's dynamic with the Sully family and other Na'Siks clans drives much of the film's conflict and emotional tension. Alongside the Ash People, the film expands the Na'Siks world with the introduction of other cultural groups such as the Wind Traders, an air-based nomadic community who pilot large aerial vessels and bring additional texture and diversity to Pandora's societies. These Wind Traders provide narrative depth and philosophical contrast to the volcanic environment of the Ash People, illustrating how the world building reaches into multiple biomes and cultural philosophies. The narrative tension in Fire and Ash is compounded by the return of Colonel Miles Quaritch, this time in a reconstructed Na'Siks-like body but still driven by vengeance and military ruthlessness after the losses he incurred in the earlier films. His continued presence as an antagonist ties Pandora's broader struggle between human technological forces and Na'Siks defenders into the internal conflicts among the Na'Siks themselves. The film weaves together familial grief, tribal rivalry, and existential struggle into a larger story of survival, identity, and confrontation across the landscapes of Pandora. As with earlier Avatar entries, Fire and Ash features extensive visual effects and technology, including motion capture, performance capture, and CGI integrated with real physical sets. Production reportedly began years earlier in New Zealand and was shot simultaneously with The Way of Water before being developed as distinct films due to the story's scale and complexity. Filming wrapped after several years, involving some of the most advanced filmmaking techniques ever used, including enhanced underwater capture and virtual production methods. The ensemble cast includes many returning actors from previous films, ensuring continuity and emotional resonance. Sam Worthington reprises his role as Jake Sully, the human-turned-Na'Siks leader whose connection to Pandora's cultures has shaped the arc of the series. Zoe Saldaña returns as Neytiri, Jake's partner and a warrior deeply rooted in Na'Siks tradition and spirituality. Other familiar faces include Sigourney Weaver, Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, Britton Dalton, Jack Champion, Trinity Jolie Bliss, Bailey Bass, Joel David Moore, CCH Pounder, Edie Falco, Giovanni Ribisi, and many more, reprising characters from the prior movies. New casting additions such as Una Chaplin as Varang and David Thewlis add dramatic texture to the ensemble. The film's score blends original themes adapted by composer Simon Franglan, complementing the emotional and epic dimensions of the story. The runtime, expected to exceed 3 hours, allows Cameron to build an immersive experience with multi-layered plotlines, character development, and visually breathtaking sequences. Marketing included selective teaser releases and trailers. The first public trailer debuted in mid-2025 and was shown in theaters alongside other major films before being released online in July 2025. The trailers showcase confrontations between the Sully family, the Ash people, and the beauty of Pandora's volcanic regions, while hinting at aerial battles, tribal tensions, and the emotional aftermath of previous events. Additional promotional clips were included as special scenes during the re-release of The Way of Water in theaters in October 2025, building anticipation and connecting the franchise's stories ahead of the new installment. Upon release, Fire and Ash is expected to screen globally in multiple languages, including English and various dubbed versions for international markets. The premiere occurred in early December 2025 at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood, with wide theatrical distribution to follow. Given the franchise's box office history, where the original Avatar became the highest-grossing film of all time and The Way of Water also earned billions worldwide, Fire and Ash arrives with exceptionally high expectations. Critically, early responses highlight its visual spectacle, emotional depth, and expanded world-building, with some calling it one of the most technically ambitious cinematic achievements in recent years. Cameron has explained that one of his goals is to deepen the exploration of human, relatable themes such as family, identity, loss, belonging, and cultural integration, even within the fantastical and alien environment of Pandora. The film aims to balance large-scale spectacle with intimate emotional storytelling. The success of Fire and Ash will shape the future of the franchise, which is planned to continue with at least 2 more sequels tentatively scheduled for release in December 2029 and December 2031. Cameron has expressed enthusiasm and acknowledgement of the challenges of creating such monumental films, especially given long production cycles and evolving cinematic landscapes. Beyond the main films, the creative team has hinted at expansions into animated projects and other formats to explore more stories within the Avatar universe, further establishing Pandora as one of the most detailed and engaging fictional worlds in contemporary cinema. The character development in Avatar, Fire and Ash goes far beyond what was explored in the previous films, delving deeply into personal motivations, emotional resilience, and the interplay of family, leadership, and cultural responsibility. Jake Sully's arc in this installment is especially nuanced, as he confronts the residual effects of trauma not only from the loss of his son but also from his prior human experiences and past military conditioning. His transformation from human marine to fully assimilated Na-6 leader has reached a point where he must integrate his previous worldview with the demands of Pandora's spiritual and ecological systems. Throughout the film, Jake's leadership is tested repeatedly, from negotiations with the Wind Traders to confrontations with the Ash people and the moral dilemma posed by Quaritch's return. These challenges force him to evaluate the balance between strategic decisiveness and ethical responsibility, highlighting the intricate nature of leadership in a world where physical power, spiritual understanding, and social influence are interdependent. Neytiri, whose role as a mother, partner, and tribal leader is central, embodies the tension between compassion and warrior-like vigilance. Her grief over Nedium's death shapes her interactions with both allies and adversaries, influencing decisions that affect entire communities. In key scenes, she must navigate the responsibilities of defending her clan while also fostering reconciliation between tribes with differing philosophies. Neytiri's depth is further enriched by her personal reflection on the intergenerational transmission of wisdom, which becomes especially important in guiding younger Na-6 like Kiri. Neytiri's character demonstrates that emotional strength and resilience are as vital to leadership as tactical skill, and her journey emphasizes the importance of empathy, moral courage, and adaptive problem-solving in the face of existential challenges. Kiri Sully represents the future of Na-6 leadership and spiritual practice. Her connection to Pandora's ecological and spiritual systems allows her to mediate between tribes, interpret natural phenomena, and offer insights into complex intertribal dynamics. Kiri's presence is also symbolic of the bridging of generations, as she incorporates lessons from older Na-6 traditions while adapting to the changing circumstances brought about by both human interference and intertribal tensions. Her storylines illustrate the complexities of youthful leadership, particularly when juxtaposed against the deeply entrenched traditions and histories of the older Na-6 clans. The Ash people, led by Varang, are perhaps the most intricate new addition to the narrative. Their culture, shaped by volcanic environments and historical trauma, offers a stark counterpoint to the Sully family's worldview. Varang's leadership is guided by the principle of survival through strength and cohesion, yet she demonstrates moments of moral reflection and strategic pragmatism that suggest her motivations are not purely antagonistic. The Ash people's ceremonies, which utilize fire and ash both symbolically and practically, underscore their intimate relationship with their environment and serve as narrative devices to convey cultural identity, historical memory, and communal solidarity. The depiction of the Ash people challenges the simplistic hero-villain dichotomy, offering instead a portrayal of a culture that is responding logically and emotionally to its environment and history, and whose actions are shaped by the consequences of neglect and loss. The Wind Traders, in contrast, provide an aspirational vision of cooperation and ecological balance. Their floating, bioluminescent vessels and emphasis on aerial navigation not only offer visual spectacle but also symbolize the philosophical commitment to foresight, observation, and harmony with natural forces. The Wind Traders' societal norms and spiritual practices emphasize negotiation, foresight, and the cultivation of communal relationships over conquest. Their interactions with the Sully family reveal alternative approaches to conflict resolution, diplomacy, and leadership, highlighting that survival and cultural continuity can be achieved through wisdom and adaptability rather than aggression alone. The juxtaposition of the Wind Traders with the Ash people and the Sully clan creates a multifaceted exploration of cultural diversity, the ethical dilemmas of leadership, and the interplay between environment and societal structure. Ecologically, Pandora is depicted with unprecedented detail. Each biome, the oceans, forests, volcanic regions, and skies, contains unique flora and fauna that interact dynamically with both the Na-6 and one another. In the volcanic regions, new species adapted to extreme heat, lava flows, and ash clouds are introduced. Bioluminescent plants and fire-resistant fauna serve both aesthetic and narrative purposes, providing the Ash people with resources that are crucial for survival and ceremonial practice. In contrast, the oceanic environments, home to the Metkayina clan, continue to demonstrate symbiotic relationships between predators and prey, mutualistic interactions between plants and animals, and complex aquatic social hierarchies. The aerial ecosystems explored through the Wind Traders highlight the vertical dimension of Pandora's world, including unique flying fauna, wind currents, and aerial predators that influence both travel and strategy. By integrating these detailed ecological considerations into the narrative, the film emphasizes the interconnectedness of life, the ethical responsibility of inhabitants, and the consequences of disruption caused by either human interference or intertribal conflict. The interactions between humans and Na-6 remain a central narrative driver. Colonel Quaritch's return, now in a Na-6 body, presents both tactical and moral challenges. His transformation blurs the lines between predator and peer, allowing Cameron to explore themes of identity, redemption, and the persistence of past behaviors in a new form. Quaritch's strategies demonstrate a blend of human military acumen and adaptation to Na-6 physical capabilities, making him a formidable antagonist whose presence tests the Sully family's strategic, emotional, and ethical capacities. His interactions with Jake, Neytiri, and other Na-6 leaders force consideration of whether cycles of revenge and violence can truly be broken, or if historical trauma inevitably perpetuates conflict. Production-wise, Avatar, Fire and Ash represents a continuation of James Cameron's technological innovation in cinema. The performance capture, particularly for underwater and volcanic environments, has pushed the boundaries of what is possible in immersive storytelling. Actors performed in specialized rigs to simulate movement in lava flows, volcanic ash clouds, and aerial navigation, while CGI was integrated seamlessly to create believable and interactive environments. The attention to lighting, bioluminescence, and the reflection of natural phenomena on both NaVi and human characters enhances realism and emotional resonance. In addition, the integration of sound design and musical score accentuates the immersive experience, from the roar of volcanic eruptions and cascading lava to the gentle bioluminescent hum of the flora and fauna, creating a multisensory experience that mirrors the narrative's emotional arcs. The film's moral and philosophical layers are intricately tied to its plot. The Sully family's efforts to reconcile the demands of leadership with personal grief, the Ash people's struggle with historical trauma, and the Wind Traders' model of foresight and cooperation all contribute to a narrative that interrogates cycles of violence, cultural understanding, and ecological responsibility. Characters must constantly weigh personal desires against communal needs, illustrating the challenges inherent in leadership, moral decision-making, and ethical stewardship of natural and social systems. These themes are reinforced through both visual metaphors, such as the contrast between fire and water, ash and life, and narrative structures that place characters in situations requiring ethical and strategic judgment. The interpersonal dynamics among the Sully family, the Ash people, and allied tribes provide an ongoing exploration of negotiation, empathy, and conflict resolution. Scenes depicting ceremonial exchanges, negotiation of territorial boundaries, and joint responses to environmental threats reveal the social, cultural, and ethical frameworks within which each group operates. Cameron's storytelling emphasizes that understanding and respecting cultural norms, ecological limitations, and historical experiences are critical to achieving lasting resolutions to conflict. This approach underscores the film's commitment to portraying leadership as a multidimensional challenge encompassing not only physical capability but also emotional intelligence, strategic insight, and moral clarity. The narrative's pacing, supported by a runtime exceeding 3 hours, allows for the integration of detailed world-building with character-driven storytelling. Action sequences are balanced with introspective moments that explore grief, memory, and relational dynamics, allowing viewers to appreciate both the spectacle and the narrative depth. The careful orchestration of narrative beats ensures that the audience experiences emotional engagement alongside tension and excitement, creating a cinematic rhythm that mirrors the complexities of life on Pandora. As the story approaches its climactic stages, the Sully family and their allies face mounting pressure from the Ash people, whose aggressive expansion threatens to destabilize Pandora's delicate ecosystem and social balance. Strategic planning becomes paramount, and Jake Sully draws on his dual experience as a former human marine and NaVi leader to develop coordinated defensive and offensive strategies. Neytiri, equally formidable and spiritually attuned, assumes a leadership role in maintaining morale, fostering unity among the disparate clans, and guiding younger NaVi warriors. Together, Jake and Neytiri exemplify a blend of tactical acumen, emotional intelligence, and deep spiritual understanding, providing a stabilizing force amid chaos. These preparations are not only military in nature but also cultural and diplomatic, as the Sully family must navigate complex alliances with the Wind Traders and ensure that any confrontation respects the broader ethical frameworks of Pandora. Lo Ak, having grown significantly over the course of the narrative, steps into a leadership role that complements his parents' guidance. His ability to synthesize lessons learned from past mistakes, coupled with an instinctive understanding of both human and NaVi tactics, makes him an essential part of the coalition's strategy. Kiri, increasingly connected to Iwa and the spiritual currents of Pandora, identifies subtle signs of impending environmental shifts, such as volcanic activity, wind patterns, and the behavior of native creatures, which provide crucial intelligence in planning movements and anticipating Ash people maneuvers. Spider, leveraging his unique hybrid perspective, contributes technological insights and tactical knowledge that bridge human ingenuity with NaVi experience, allowing the coalition to implement adaptive strategies across multiple terrains, volcanic, aquatic, and aerial. The Ash people, led by Varang, continue to leverage their knowledge of volcanic terrain to launch sophisticated attacks. Their use of fire-adapted creatures, ranging from massive lava-resistant predators to smaller, flame-emitting beasts, creates tactical advantages in both offensive operations and rapid retreats. These creatures serve not only as tools of war but also as reflections of the Ash people's culture, emphasizing resilience, adaptability, and a symbiotic relationship with extreme environments. Varang's leadership demonstrates strategic brilliance tempered by pragmatism. She prioritizes survival above ideology while maintaining a strong sense of loyalty to her tribe. The narrative explores her motivations in depth, allowing viewers to appreciate the nuance behind her decisions and the cultural forces that shaped her worldview. Simultaneously, the Wind Traders contribute crucial aerial intelligence and mobility. Their bioluminescent flying vessels allow for rapid transportation and strategic oversight, enabling the coalition to respond dynamically to Ash people movements. Palak, as the Wind Traders' leader, grapples with balancing clan autonomy with the need for coordinated action, highlighting the broader theme of interdependence versus independence. The Wind Traders' perspective underscores the importance of understanding multiple approaches to survival and governance, adding layers of political and ethical complexity to the story. Their inclusion enriches Pandora's cultural diversity and demonstrates how varying strategies can converge to address existential threats. The narrative weaves together environmental storytelling, character development, and large-scale action with exceptional precision. Volcanic eruptions, lava flows, and ash storms create both literal and metaphorical obstacles, shaping the tactics and psychology of the Ash people and their adversaries. Aerial sequences with the Wind Traders highlight the expansiveness of Pandora, while underwater and coastal encounters showcase the Metkayina clan's intimate connection with marine ecosystems. Each environment is treated as a character in its own right, influencing decisions, shaping culture, and impacting outcomes. Cameron's meticulous attention to ecological and cultural detail ensures that the setting is fully integrated into the narrative, enhancing immersion and thematic resonance. As confrontations intensify, the film explores the moral and ethical dimensions of warfare. The Sully family and their allies are confronted with difficult choices regarding the treatment of prisoners, allocation of limited resources, and the consequences of actions on both human and Na-6 participants. These ethical dilemmas are mirrored in Varang's decision-making, where survival imperatives clash with moral considerations, highlighting the tension between pragmatism and principle. The film emphasizes that conflict is rarely black and white, victories are often tempered by loss, and moral compromises may be necessary to preserve life and culture. This nuanced approach deepens the narrative, elevating it beyond conventional spectacle and ensuring that action sequences are meaningful and consequential. Key battles are meticulously choreographed to integrate character growth, environmental hazards, and creature dynamics. Lava-ridden battlefields force Na-6 warriors to adapt their combat techniques, while aerial maneuvers with the Wind Traders require precise coordination and spatial awareness. Underwater engagements incorporate aquatic creatures, emphasizing the Metkayina's specialized skills and reinforcing themes of interconnectedness between species and ecosystems. The interplay of multiple terrains, volcanic, aerial, and aquatic, creates a rich tapestry of conflict, demonstrating the filmmaker's commitment to layered, immersive storytelling. Each combat scenario reinforces the stakes, tests alliances, and provides opportunities for characters to demonstrate courage, ingenuity, and ethical consideration. Throughout the climactic sequences, personal growth and transformation are central. Loak emerges as a capable leader, balancing ambition with empathy, while Kiri's spiritual insight proves instrumental in interpreting environmental cues and guiding decisions. Spider's dual perspective continues to facilitate cooperation between Na-6 and human knowledge systems, highlighting the potential for cross-cultural understanding. Jake and Neytiri's leadership is tested as they reconcile grief with responsibility, demonstrating that effective guidance requires both emotional intelligence and tactical skill. These arcs converge to emphasize the franchise's recurring themes, the importance of unity, the consequences of cultural divergence, and the enduring capacity for hope and resilience in the face of adversity. Following its release, Avatar, Fire and Ash generated extensive critical discussion, with reviewers praising James Cameron's ability to maintain the delicate balance between spectacle and narrative depth. Many commentators highlighted the emotional complexity of the Sully family's journey, particularly the portrayal of grief, resilience, and ethical leadership. Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldaña received acclaim for their nuanced performances, successfully conveying both vulnerability and strength as their characters navigated personal and societal challenges. Kiri, as portrayed by Sigourney Weaver, was recognized for her role in bridging the generational and cultural divides on Pandora, symbolizing hope and continuity amidst chaos. Critics also lauded the film's portrayal of Varang and the Ash people, emphasizing the nuanced characterization of antagonists who are motivated by trauma and survival rather than simplistic villainy. This approach reinforced the franchise's commitment to morally layered storytelling, resonating with audiences seeking both entertainment and substance. The visual and technical achievements of Fire and Ash were frequently highlighted in critical analyses. Cameron's use of advanced motion capture, volumetric lighting, high frame rate 3D, and complex CGI integration was widely regarded as a significant leap forward in cinematic technology. The volcanic landscapes of the Ash people, the bioluminescent forests, and the underwater sequences were praised not only for their visual beauty but for their role in enhancing narrative and thematic elements. Critics noted that the integration of environmental storytelling with character-driven action sequences created a cohesive experience that made Pandora feel alive, emphasizing the planet itself as a central character in the narrative. The seamless combination of practical and digital effects further elevated the immersive quality of the film, setting new benchmarks for visual storytelling in contemporary cinema. Audience reception mirrored critical responses, with fan communities expressing deep engagement with both the story and the technical achievements. Social media platforms, fan forums, and online discussion groups were flooded with analyses of character arcs, plot developments, and symbolic motifs, reflecting the intellectual and emotional investment viewers brought to the film. Many fans appreciated the thematic emphasis on grief, reconciliation, and environmental stewardship, noting that these elements elevated Fire and Ash above a conventional action-adventure blockbuster. Cosplay, fan art, and online tribute videos proliferated, indicating not only a strong cultural impact but also the sustained enthusiasm of the franchise's global fanbase. The film's ability to inspire creative engagement and discussion is a testament to its narrative and visual depth, ensuring that it maintains a lasting presence in popular culture. In terms of narrative structure, Fire and Ash succeeded in bridging the events of its predecessors with the anticipated developments in future sequels. Subplots introduced in this installment, including the emergence of the Ash people and the development of Kiri's abilities, were designed to seed future storylines while providing satisfying closure within the film itself. The resolution of the Sully family's grief, combined with the tentative integration of the Ash people into the broader NaVi society, establishes a foundation for the ongoing exploration of Pandora's diverse cultures and environmental challenges in subsequent films. Cameron's careful narrative planning ensures continuity and thematic coherence across the franchise, allowing Avatar 4 and Avatar 5 to build upon established storylines while introducing new characters, settings, and moral dilemmas. The philosophical and environmental themes embedded in Fire and Ash are also a key factor in its impact. The film examines the consequences of neglecting ecological balance and the ethical responsibilities of both human and NaVi societies. Through the depiction of the Ash people, viewers are confronted with the long-term effects of environmental devastation, social isolation, and cultural erasure. The narrative emphasizes that true resolution and progress require understanding, empathy, and cooperative action, reinforcing the franchise's broader messages about interconnectedness and stewardship. These philosophical elements, interwoven with visual spectacle and character-driven drama, provide layers of meaning that reward careful analysis and reflection, contributing to the film's enduring significance. From a marketing perspective, Fire and Ash benefited from a well-orchestrated global release strategy. Pre-release teasers, trailers, and digital experiences cultivated anticipation, while premiere events and media coverage ensured maximum visibility. The film's distribution in multiple formats, including IMAX and 3D, enhanced the immersive quality of the viewing experience, encouraging repeat viewings and audience engagement. Merchandise, tie-in novels, and interactive digital content expanded the narrative universe, allowing fans to explore Pandora beyond the confines of the film. These marketing strategies, combined with the franchise's existing popularity, contributed to record-breaking box office numbers and a sustained cultural presence in the months following release. Avatar: Fire and Ash also has notable implications for cinematic technology and industry standards. Cameron's continued innovation in motion capture, environmental rendering, and real-time CGI performance tracking sets benchmarks that influence contemporary filmmaking practices. The integration of complex visual effects with nuanced performances demonstrates that technical achievement and storytelling are not mutually exclusive but can coexist to elevate the cinematic experience. This achievement reinforces the franchise's role as a pioneer in both narrative and technical domains, inspiring filmmakers and audiences alike to appreciate the potential of modern cinema to combine spectacle with emotional and thematic richness. In conclusion, Avatar: Fire and Ash represents a milestone in the evolution of the Avatar franchise. By combining compelling character arcs, complex moral and philosophical themes, groundbreaking visual and auditory technology, and immersive world-building, the film achieves a rare balance of emotional depth and cinematic spectacle. The narrative resolution of the Sully family, the integration of new Na-6 cultures, and the exploration of grief, identity, and environmental responsibility ensure that the film resonates with diverse audiences on multiple levels. As a cultural phenomenon, Fire and Ash strengthens the legacy of the Avatar franchise, establishing both the immediate and long-term relevance of its narrative universe while setting the stage for future installments that promise to expand the emotional, cultural, and technological horizons of Pandora. Avatar: Fire and Ash is the third cinematic installment in the globally celebrated Avatar franchise, directed by James Cameron and produced by 20th Century Studios under Disney. Following the monumental events of The Way of Water, the film picks up the saga of Jake Sully and Neytiri as they navigate the complex political, emotional, and spiritual landscapes of Pandora. Set roughly 1 year after the death of their eldest son Neytiri, the Sully family grapples with grief, trauma, and the responsibility of leadership amidst escalating tensions among the Na-6 clans and the ever-present threat of human intervention. The world of Pandora, already visually rich and culturally intricate in the previous films, expands dramatically in Fire and Ash, introducing new clans, regions, and ideologies while deepening the spiritual and emotional stakes for both the characters and the audience. At the heart of the story lies the Sully family's struggle to process personal loss while protecting their home and the broader Na-6 culture. Jake Sully, once a Marine and now fully integrated into the Na-6 way of life, faces the dual challenge of personal grief and the strategic burden of uniting or negotiating among multiple tribes. Neytiri, equally wounded by the loss of Neytiri, balances her role as a mother and a warrior, guiding their children, Lo'ak, Kiri, and Spider, through an environment that demands resilience, courage, and wisdom. The surviving Sully children play pivotal roles in this installment, with Lo'ak growing into a more active leadership role and Kiri's spiritual sensitivity providing critical insights into the evolving mystical connections between the Na-6 and Aiwa, their guiding deity. The central conflict in Fire and Ash emerges with the introduction of a new tribe known as the Ash People, or the Mangwan clan. Unlike the water-based or forest-based Na-6 clans introduced in previous films, the Ash people inhabit volcanic territories and embrace a culture characterized by fire, strength, and survivalist pragmatism. Their philosophy is more aggressive and materially oriented, creating ideological friction with Jake and Neytiri's approach to leadership and governance. Varang, the formidable leader of the Ash people, embodies both strategic cunning and physical prowess, presenting an antagonist who challenges the Sully family not only in combat but through a contrasting worldview that tests the limits of empathy, diplomacy, and moral judgment. The Ash people's emergence raises questions about cultural relativism, the nature of leadership, and the consequences of trauma, as their philosophy stems from a history of environmental hardship and intertribal conflict within Pandora. Alongside the Ash people, Fire and Ash introduces another new faction, the Wind Traders, who inhabit Pandora's skies in massive manta ray-inspired flying vessels. Led by Palak, the Wind Traders represent a nomadic and peaceful culture that contrasts with the aggression of the Ash clan. Their inclusion adds depth to Pandora's geopolitical and cultural complexity, as they serve both as allies and intermediaries in conflicts between the various Na-6 tribes. The interactions among these clans reveal how Pandora's intricate ecosystem and spiritual frameworks inform the Na-6 way of life, emphasizing the interconnectedness of culture, environment, and belief systems. The Wind Trader's aerial capabilities also enable visually striking sequences that expand the franchise's cinematic vocabulary, showcasing a planet that is alive, multidimensional, and continuously evolving. Returning human characters, including Colonel Miles Quaritch and the RDA forces, continue to pose existential threats to Pandora. Quaritch's resurrection and enhanced capabilities escalate the danger, reflecting a persistent human desire to exploit Pandora's resources despite repeated failures. The interplay between human greed and Na-6 environmental stewardship continues to serve as a narrative and thematic cornerstone, highlighting the clash between industrial ambition and ecological reverence. However, in Fire and Ash, these threats are not merely external, they are intertwined with Pandora's internal conflicts, as ideological divisions among Na-6 tribes mirror the violence humans have historically inflicted, reinforcing the cyclical nature of trauma and conflict. The film's plot intricately weaves multiple arcs. It begins with the Sully family attempting to consolidate alliances among the water and forest clans while mourning Medium. Lo AK, taking on a larger leadership role, organizes diplomatic efforts and reconnaissance missions to understand the Ash people's intentions and strengths. Meanwhile, Kiri uses her spiritual abilities to communicate with Iwa, uncovering visions of potential catastrophes that could impact both humans and Na-6. Spider, representing the human-adopted perspective, negotiates tensions from a different angle, illustrating the hybridized identities resulting from prolonged interaction between species. As the story unfolds, battles erupt not only in the volcanic terrains dominated by the Ash people but also in Pandora's skies and underwater regions, where the Wind Traders play a strategic role. These sequences blend spectacular visual effects with emotional stakes, ensuring that action serves the story rather than existing solely for spectacle. As the Sully family confronts the Ash people, ideological and physical confrontations intensify. Varang challenges Jake and Neytiri to reconsider their leadership style, arguing that idealism and spirituality are insufficient for survival in a volatile world. The Ash people's approach is tested through skirmishes, strategic maneuvers, and trials that highlight the limits of diplomacy and the necessity of adaptability. These encounters force characters to confront the ethical and moral dimensions of leadership, showing that decisions have consequences not only for individuals but for entire cultures. Throughout these conflicts, Cameron emphasizes the emotional resonance of every decision, ensuring that viewers understand the human and Na-6 cost of warfare and cultural misunderstanding. Meanwhile, the Wind Traders' role becomes increasingly significant as intermediaries and protectors of balance on Pandora. Their aerial mobility allows them to provide intelligence, rescue missions, and strategic interventions in battles between the Sully-aligned clans and the Ash people. Palak's leadership introduces a new philosophical perspective that values patience, observation, and restraint, contrasting with both Jake's protective aggression and Varang's ruthless pragmatism. The interactions among these three leadership styles provide a narrative examination of conflict resolution, diplomacy, and the negotiation of power in complex, multi-tribal societies. Amidst these political and cultural conflicts, the personal storylines maintain a strong emotional core. Jake and Neytiri's grief over Medium shapes their interactions with their surviving children, their allies, and their adversaries. Lo AK struggles with survivor guilt and the burden of responsibility, learning to channel his emotions into strategic thinking. Kiri's spiritual journey reveals hidden aspects of Iwa's consciousness and offers warnings that help prevent catastrophic decisions. Spider's experiences highlight the difficulties of straddling human and Na-6 identities, adding layers of interpersonal tension and ethical complexity. The intertwining of personal grief and large-scale conflict ensures that the film's stakes are both intimate and epic, providing depth and emotional resonance rarely seen in blockbuster cinema. The climactic sequences of Fire and Ash are set against the dramatic backdrop of Pandora's volcanic regions. The Ash people's territories are depicted as both dangerous and visually stunning, with flowing lava, jagged rock formations, and fire storms that serve as both environmental hazards and symbolic representations of conflict and destruction. Battles are choreographed with meticulous attention to spatial dynamics, tribal tactics, and the unique abilities of both Na-6 and human characters. Cameron combines practical effects with advanced CGI to create immersive, visceral sequences that maintain a coherent visual language while showcasing the scale of Pandora's ecosystems. These sequences are punctuated by quieter moments of reflection, mourning, and decision-making, allowing the narrative to balance spectacle with introspection. The resolution of the film sees a hard-won, complex equilibrium among Pandora's tribes. While some alliances are reinforced, and the Ash people undergo transformation in their approach to leadership and cultural practice, the film does not present a simple, neat resolution. Themes of compromise, understanding, and mutual respect emerge, illustrating that leadership, reconciliation, and cultural integration are ongoing processes rather than finite events. Jake and Neytiri, having navigated the dual pressures of personal grief and political negotiation, emerge as stronger leaders, capable of guiding their people while acknowledging the costs of past decisions. The Sully children, shaped by their experiences, are prepared to inherit a more nuanced understanding of leadership, morality, and ecological stewardship. Beyond narrative, Fire and Ash is a technical achievement. The film employs next-generation performance capture technology, ultra-realistic CGI, and innovative underwater and aerial cinematography. The combination of visual storytelling and emotional acting creates a seamless connection between human actors and their Na-6 avatars, enabling audiences to engage fully with Pandora's inhabitants. Cameron's commitment to world building extends to the detailed design of the Ash people and Wind Traders, whose cultures, clothing, rituals, and environmental adaptations are depicted with anthropological rigor and artistic sophistication. The soundtrack, including the contribution from contemporary artists, enhances the emotional depth and narrative texture. Musical cues are carefully synchronized with character development, battles, and spiritual moments, reinforcing the film's themes of grief, resilience, and interconnection with Pandora's natural and mystical environment. Avatar, Fire and Ash concludes by setting the stage for the next installments in the franchise, with narrative threads and unresolved tensions pointing toward Avatar 4 and Avatar 5. The resolution of the current conflicts creates opportunities for exploring long-term consequences of tribal alliances, cultural synthesis, and environmental stewardship. The Sully family's ongoing journey, combined with the expanded understanding of Pandora's diverse cultures, promises a rich foundation for future storytelling. The film leaves audiences with a sense of awe, reflection, and anticipation, reinforcing the Avatar franchise's combination of spectacle, emotional resonance, and philosophical exploration. Ultimately, Avatar, Fire and Ash is an intricate tapestry of visual innovation, emotional storytelling, and cultural exploration. By intertwining personal grief with tribal politics, ecological awareness, and ethical dilemmas, the film transcends the traditional boundaries of science fiction and fantasy cinema. Through the journey of the Sully family, the emergence of new clans, and the ongoing human-Na-6 conflict, Cameron presents a world that is both breathtakingly beautiful and morally complex, ensuring that Pandora remains a vivid, living universe in the minds of audiences worldwide. The histories and cultures of the Na-6 clans are central to understanding the narrative complexity of Fire and Ash. Each clan has developed unique customs, spiritual practices, and environmental adaptations, reflecting the deep interdependence of culture and ecology on Pandora. The Sully family's primary allies, the Metkayina clan, inhabit the oceanic regions of Pandora. Their society is deeply attuned to aquatic life, with traditions and rituals revolving around the tides, the behavior of marine creatures, and the seasonal migration patterns of aquatic species. Their architecture, including floating dwellings and underwater structures, demonstrates their harmonious integration with the oceanic environment, minimizing disruption while maximizing safety and accessibility. The Metkayina emphasize cooperation, communal parenting, and environmental stewardship, creating a social model that prioritizes collective well-being and sustainable interaction with nature. Within this framework, Jake and Neytiri's family must navigate the expectations of the Metkayina elders while asserting their own leadership vision, creating both internal and external tension. The Ash people, in contrast, have a history marked by environmental adversity and social isolation. Their volcanic homelands expose them to constant danger from eruptions, lava flows, and toxic ash clouds, forcing them to develop both practical survival strategies and symbolic cultural practices. Their rituals, centered around fire, serve multiple purposes. They honor ancestors lost to natural disasters, reinforce social cohesion, and mark transitions within the clan. Varang's leadership is informed by this historical trauma, and her strategies often prioritize immediate survival and demonstration of strength over long-term reconciliation with other clans. This perspective produces conflict with the Sully family, whose approach emphasizes mediation, empathy, and alliance building. The narrative explores how historical experience shapes worldview, decision-making, and intergroup relations, illustrating that conflict often arises not from inherent malice but from contextual pressures and cultural memory. The Wind Traders, occupying Pandora's skies, provide yet another cultural lens. Their aerial dominance allows them to engage with multiple ecosystems simultaneously, giving them both strategic oversight and cultural perspective. Their philosophy centers on observation, patience, and preemptive negotiation, reflecting a societal commitment to foresight. Their ceremonies often involve elaborate aerial displays and rituals that signify social contracts, spiritual connection, and ecological awareness. These practices not only reinforce their cultural identity but also serve narrative functions, highlighting alternative strategies for conflict resolution and the value of foresight in preventing escalation of violence. The ecology of Pandora is meticulously detailed in Fire and Ash, providing both visual spectacle and narrative resonance. The volcanic regions feature lava-adapted species, bioluminescent flora capable of surviving extreme heat, and predator-prey dynamics that reflect the harshness of the environment. The oceans host complex ecosystems, including symbiotic relationships between plant and animal species, social hierarchies among intelligent aquatic creatures, and migratory patterns that influence Nasik's subsistence and cultural practices. The aerial zones are populated by flying species with unique sensory abilities, navigating thermals, wind currents, and predatory pressures that mirror the political and social complexities of Nasik's tribes. These ecological details are not mere background, they actively shape the plot, creating challenges, opportunities, and ethical dilemmas for characters as they navigate Pandora's diverse environments. Action sequences in Fire and Ash, as revealed in trailers and promotional materials, are integrated with these ecological and cultural details. Conflicts with the Ash people involve strategic navigation of volcanic terrain, coordination with native fauna, and exploitation of environmental features. Battles are influenced by the abilities of local species, the topography of lava fields, and the interactions of Fire and Ash with Nasik's and human technology. Aerial sequences with the Wind Traders showcase coordinated flight maneuvers, leveraging currents and the design of flying vessels to outmaneuver opponents, blending tactical ingenuity with ecological awareness. Underwater encounters emphasize the Metkayina clan's adaptation to aquatic life, including cooperative strategies with marine species, synchronized movement, and utilization of oceanic topography for both offense and defense. These sequences highlight the film's commitment to integrating environmental realism with narrative tension, ensuring that action is always informed by the world in which it takes place. The production of these sequences required innovative technological solutions. Cameron's team utilized motion capture in extreme conditions, including rigs simulating lava heat, underwater mobility, and aerial flight. Digital set extensions, combined with practical effects, allowed actors to interact convincingly with both real and virtual elements. Lighting, particle effects, and bioluminescence were calibrated to maintain realism while enhancing visual clarity, ensuring that viewers could follow complex action sequences without losing immersion. The combination of real-world physics, detailed animation of Pandora's creatures, and carefully choreographed performances resulted in scenes that are both visually stunning and narratively coherent. Music and sound design play an essential role in shaping the emotional and thematic landscape of the film. The score blends orchestral elements with Pandora-specific instrumentation, emphasizing the unique cultural and ecological contexts of different clans. Sound effects, such as the resonance of volcanic eruptions, the subtle hum of bioluminescent plants, and the vocalizations of new species, enhance immersion and reinforce narrative cues. Music underscores both personal and communal moments, highlighting grief, triumph, tension, and reconciliation, ensuring that the audience experiences the story on multiple sensory levels. The ethical and philosophical dimensions of fire and ash are deeply intertwined with character decisions. The Sully family must consider how to respond to aggression from the Ash people, balancing retribution with negotiation. Varang faces moral dilemmas concerning leadership responsibilities and the preservation of her people in the face of external threats. Quaritch's presence complicates these ethical considerations by presenting a familiar adversary who has undergone transformation, challenging assumptions about identity, loyalty, and the potential for change. These interactions explore the consequences of choices, the tension between short-term survival and long-term ethical integrity, and the capacity of individuals and societies to break cycles of violence through understanding, empathy, and strategic action. The interplay between ecological awareness and narrative strategy is central to the film's storytelling. Characters must consider the behavior of native species, the dynamics of weather and terrain, and the constraints of their environment when making tactical decisions. This integration of environmental realism with narrative complexity reflects Cameron's vision of Pandora as an interconnected system, where every action has consequences for both human and Na-6 inhabitants. The ethical implications of these interactions are explored continuously, from the exploitation of natural resources to the ethical treatment of sentient and non-sentient life forms, reinforcing the film's overarching themes of responsibility and ecological consciousness. The trailers and promotional material suggest that Fire and Ash maintains a delicate balance between epic scale and intimate storytelling. While large-scale battles, environmental challenges, and intertribal politics dominate certain sequences, the film also devotes significant attention to personal moments of reflection, dialogue, and emotional development. Scenes of familial interaction, mentorship, grief processing, and spiritual practice provide a counterpoint to action sequences, ensuring that the narrative remains emotionally resonant even amid spectacular visuals. This balance is indicative of Cameron's long-term commitment to combining immersive spectacle with character-driven drama, creating a cinematic experience that is both visually spectacular and narratively substantive. The Sully family's journey through the narrative highlights the integration of multiple thematic threads, including grief, leadership, ethical responsibility, cultural negotiation, and ecological awareness. Jake and Neytiri's roles exemplify the intersection of personal and communal stakes, illustrating how leadership is inseparable from emotional intelligence and moral discernment. Kiri's development emphasizes generational continuity, the transmission of wisdom, and the importance of adaptive thinking in evolving environments. The Ash people and Wind traders provide alternative perspectives, challenging assumptions about morality, conflict resolution, and the role of environment in shaping culture and strategy. These thematic explorations are embedded in plot and action, ensuring that spectacle serves the story and the narrative remains grounded in human, and Na-6, experience. As the narrative approaches its resolution, the tension between survival, ideology, and familial loyalty reaches its zenith. The Ash people, despite suffering setbacks from strategic countermeasures by Jake Sully and his allies, maintain a formidable presence due to their intimate knowledge of the volcanic terrain and their relentless determination to ensure the survival of their tribe. Varang, facing the cumulative impact of these confrontations, begins to confront the consequences of her uncompromising pragmatism. Her interactions with Jake and Neytiri evolve beyond conflict, shifting into negotiations, ethical considerations, and moments of reflection. The film carefully examines the notion that even those perceived as adversaries are bound by their own cultural values, traumas, and survival imperatives, highlighting Cameron's commitment to multidimensional characterization. Loeke's growth reaches a critical point during the climax, as he must make decisions under life-threatening conditions that test not only his courage but also his moral compass. Leading a team of younger Na-6 and allied creatures, he orchestrates a tactical maneuver designed to mitigate loss while neutralizing the Ash people's advantage in volcanic combat zones. His actions reflect a balance between inherited leadership qualities and his personal evolution, symbolizing the next generation's role in shaping Pandora's future. Similarly, Kiri's spiritual abilities play a crucial role in anticipating environmental shifts that could affect the balance of battle, guiding her family and allies toward positions of safety while leveraging Pandora's ecosystem to their strategic advantage. Spider's contributions continue to exemplify the integration of human and Na-6 knowledge. His understanding of technology, combined with the ecological and tactical wisdom of the Na-6, enables the coalition to utilize both high-tech tools and environmental advantages effectively. This synergy underscores the broader thematic focus on cooperation across cultural and species boundaries, demonstrating how collaboration and mutual respect are critical in overcoming existential threats. Spider's presence also provides continuity for human perspectives within the narrative, reminding audiences of the ongoing interplay between human ambition, ingenuity, and moral responsibility. The Wind Traders, under Palak's guidance, execute complex aerial strategies that allow the coalition to outmaneuver the Ash people. Their nomadic ships, illuminated with bioluminescent patterns, create a visual spectacle that reinforces the diversity and ingenuity of Na-6 culture. These sequences highlight not only tactical brilliance but also the philosophical and ethical dimensions of engagement, as the Wind Traders must carefully navigate their involvement without compromising their principles or the safety of their clan. The interplay of flight, reconnaissance, and cultural philosophy enhances the narrative's depth, providing an additional layer of engagement beyond standard action sequences. Environmental storytelling continues to play a critical role in shaping the narrative. The volcanic regions, once a symbol of the Ash people's dominance, become a stage for transformation, illustrating the power of adaptation and cooperation. Lava flows, unstable terrain, and ash storms are integrated into strategic and emotional moments, reinforcing both the literal and metaphorical stakes. Similarly, aquatic and aerial environments provide dynamic arenas for conflict, highlighting the distinct capabilities and cultural specializations of the Metkayina and Wind Traders. Cameron's attention to ecological accuracy and immersive world-building ensures that each confrontation feels grounded within Pandora's richly imagined ecosystem. As the battles reach their climax, the narrative emphasizes the consequences of violence and the possibilities of reconciliation. Varang faces a moment of profound choice: to continue the cycle of aggression or to engage in negotiation and compromise. This decision is framed against the broader backdrop of Pandora's interconnected systems, emphasizing that survival is not merely physical but also cultural, ethical, and ecological. The resolution of the Ash people's storyline underscores the film's central thematic concern: the tension between pragmatism and moral responsibility, and the potential for understanding and cooperation even after prolonged conflict. The emotional arcs of the Sully family reach their resolution alongside these external conflicts. Jake and Neytiri reconcile their grief with their responsibilities as leaders and parents, modeling resilience and adaptability. Loak emerges as a capable young leader, ready to carry forward the values and traditions of the Na-6 while integrating lessons from past mistakes. Kiri's spiritual development signals the ongoing connection between the Na-6 and Pandora's living ecosystem, emphasizing the importance of harmony, foresight, and stewardship. Spider's dual perspective continues to bridge human and Na-6 knowledge, reinforcing the narrative's ongoing exploration of interspecies and intercultural collaboration. These personal resolutions are intertwined with the larger narrative, ensuring that emotional stakes are fully realized and that each character's journey contributes meaningfully to the story's thematic closure. Technologically and visually, the film culminates in sequences that highlight the full integration of Na-6 culture, environmental dynamics, and creature interactions. The Ash people's fire-adapted creatures are portrayed in moments of both conflict and reconciliation, illustrating their symbolic and functional significance within the narrative. The Wind Traders' aerial fleet orchestrates coordinated movements that blend beauty and strategy, while the Metkayina clan's aquatic maneuvers demonstrate mastery of undersea ecosystems. Cameron's direction ensures that these elements are not mere spectacle but integral components of the story, reinforcing character growth, thematic resonance, and narrative progression. The visual effects, combining advanced motion capture, CGI, and practical effects, create a seamless and immersive portrayal of Pandora's diverse environments, creatures, and tribal cultures. In conclusion, Avatar, Fire and Ash delivers a multi-layered narrative that integrates family dynamics, tribal politics, ecological awareness, and moral philosophy into a sweeping cinematic experience. The resolution of conflicts among the Sully family, the Ash people, and the Wind Traders emphasizes the possibility of reconciliation, cooperation, and cultural understanding, while also acknowledging the complexity of survival in extreme environments. The film's emphasis on grief, trauma, identity, and ethical decision-making enriches the traditional adventure and action narrative, providing depth and resonance that extend beyond visual spectacle. By balancing intimate character arcs with large-scale environmental and political conflicts, Cameron has crafted a story that is both emotionally compelling and visually breathtaking, solidifying Fire and Ash as a critical and narrative continuation of the Avatar franchise. One of the most compelling aspects of Avatar, Fire and Ash lies in its deep exploration of character psychology and intergenerational dynamics. Jake Sully's evolution from a soldier seeking purpose to a Na-6 leader embodying both strategic acumen and moral clarity serves as a centerpiece for this installment. His experiences with grief, loss, and ethical responsibility are mirrored in the challenges faced by Neytiri, who simultaneously embodies strength, compassion, and maternal care. Their partnership reflects not only a personal bond but a larger narrative about unity, leadership, and cultural continuity on Pandora. The film portrays their struggles and triumphs in a manner that emphasizes emotional realism, showing how profound losses can catalyze growth, strengthen relationships, and inspire broader societal change. This nuanced depiction of adult characters in positions of power and influence underscores Cameron's commitment to storytelling that resonates on both a human and allegorical level, offering audiences multiple layers of engagement. Kiri's role in the narrative continues to serve as a vital lens through which younger audiences and fans of coming-of-age narratives can connect with the story. Her journey toward understanding her abilities, her place within the Sully family, and her responsibilities toward the broader Na-6 community highlights themes of identity, choice, and the reconciliation of past and present. Kiri's experiences also provide an avenue for exploring intergenerational mentorship, as she navigates guidance from both her parents and elder Na-6 figures such as Ronald. These interactions reinforce the significance of cultural knowledge, communal wisdom, and respect for experience, while also emphasizing the potential for innovation, adaptability, and growth inherent in younger generations. Through Kiri, Fire and Ash demonstrates that the future of Pandora depends on both continuity and transformation, illustrating the delicate balance between tradition and progress. The introduction of the Ash people enriches the narrative's exploration of cultural diversity and societal resilience. Cameron provides audiences with a detailed portrayal of their unique customs, survival strategies, and environmental adaptations, demonstrating the ways in which geography and historical hardship shape social organization and moral frameworks. Varang, as the central figure of this clan, embodies the tension between authority and empathy, survival instincts and ethical consideration. His interactions with the Sully family and other Na-6 clans highlight the challenges of reconciling conflicting values and histories, illustrating that understanding and compromise are essential for meaningful cooperation. By portraying antagonists as fully realized cultural entities rather than simplistic villains, the film encourages viewers to consider the complexity of morality, the roots of conflict, and the pathways toward resolution in both fictional and real-world contexts. The depiction of Na-6 culture throughout the film, including both established clans and newly introduced groups, offers rich opportunities for thematic and visual storytelling. Metkayina society, with its aquatic adaptations and communal ethos, serves as a model for the interconnectedness of environment and culture. The Wind Traders' aerial mobility and nomadic practices provide contrast and highlight the diversity of adaptive strategies across Pandora. By juxtaposing these cultural groups with the Ash people, the film emphasizes the multiplicity of ways societies respond to environmental pressures, historical trauma, and social challenges. Cameron's meticulous attention to cultural detail, from rituals and language to environmental interactions and technological adaptations, reinforces the realism and depth of the narrative universe, allowing audiences to immerse themselves fully in Pandora's complex social landscape. Environmental symbolism is woven intricately throughout Fire and Ash, reinforcing the franchise's long-standing ecological themes. The volcanic regions inhabited by the Ash people symbolize both destruction and renewal, embodying the cyclical nature of life, conflict, and reconciliation. Forests, rivers, and oceans are depicted as living systems with their own agency, interacting with characters in ways that reflect their choices, morality, and impact on the planet. Cameron's environmental storytelling is not purely allegorical, it is embedded in the mechanics of the narrative, influencing plot developments, shaping cultural practices, and determining the outcomes of conflicts. The portrayal of these ecosystems emphasizes the fragility and resilience of natural systems, providing both visual splendor and narrative significance, while reinforcing the film's philosophical engagement with environmental stewardship. Human-Nausicaa interactions remain a central theme, continuing the exploration of colonial and ethical tensions introduced in the original Avatar. While previous installments often depicted humans primarily as antagonists, Fire and Ash offers more nuanced portrayals of human presence and influence, highlighting moral dilemmas, alliances, and the potential for cooperation. These interactions underscore the film's emphasis on ethical responsibility, cross-cultural understanding, and the consequences of historical action. By presenting humans and Nausicaa as participants in complex moral landscapes, Cameron encourages audiences to reflect on real-world parallels related to environmental policy, cultural preservation, and social justice. The narrative consistently balances spectacle with ethical inquiry, ensuring that the film is not only a visual experience but also a meditation on the responsibilities of sentient beings to one another and to the planet. The intertextual connections to previous films are also carefully maintained, ensuring continuity while expanding the narrative universe. Subtle callbacks to the events of Avatar and The Way of Water, including references to previous battles, environmental disruptions, and character relationships, provide long-term fans with a sense of cohesion and narrative reward. At the same time, the introduction of new elements, such as the Ash people and expanded Nausicaa cultures, allows the story to evolve, keeping the franchise fresh and dynamic. Cameron's attention to narrative layering ensures that the film functions both as a standalone epic and as a critical link within the broader saga, balancing accessibility for new viewers with complexity for dedicated fans. Avatar, Fire and Ash continues the epic saga of Pandora, taking place roughly a year after the events of Avatar, The Way of Water. The Sully family, consisting of Jake Sully, Neytiri, and their children, are grappling with the profound grief caused by the loss of Neytiri, their eldest son. This tragedy has left a mark not only on Jake and Neytiri as parents but also on the younger members of the family, shaping their understanding of mortality, responsibility, and the precarious nature of life on Pandora. The emotional weight of the family's loss is immediately apparent in the opening sequences, where the natural landscapes of Pandora mirror the inner turmoil of the characters. Mist rises over the bioluminescent forests, and volcanic smoke curls into the sky, foreshadowing the arrival of a new, fiery threat. These environmental details serve as more than just a backdrop, they are symbolic of the tension and conflict that is about to unfold, reflecting the intertwining of Pandora's ecosystems with the emotional and cultural landscapes of its inhabitants. The Sully family's attempts to rebuild a sense of normalcy are interrupted by news of the Ash people, a previously unknown Nausicaa tribe inhabiting the volcanic regions of Pandora. The Ash people have developed a culture hardened by survival in extreme conditions, with their rituals, traditions, and philosophy centered around fire, destruction, and rebirth. Their leader, Varang, is depicted as a figure of both charisma and intimidation, commanding loyalty through fear and respect. Varang's philosophy emphasizes strength and resilience in the face of adversity, but it also brings her into direct conflict with the Sully family's values, which are rooted in balance, harmony, and connection with the natural world. The film's narrative juxtaposes these two approaches to life on Pandora, illustrating a thematic tension between the destructive power of fire and the restorative power of empathy and understanding. As the Sully family interacts with the Ash people, the audience is presented with a nuanced exploration of morality that challenges traditional notions of good and evil within the context of Nausicaa society. Meanwhile, Colonel Miles Quaritch, the antagonist from previous films, returns in a reconstructed Na-6-like body. His presence introduces a human element to the conflict, combining technological prowess with personal vendetta. Quaritch's motivations are complex. He is driven not merely by revenge but also by a belief in the superiority of human engineering and strategy over the natural order of Pandora. His alliance with factions sympathetic to his cause, combined with his tactical knowledge of Na-6 culture, presents an intricate and multidimensional challenge for Jake Sully and his allies. The film skillfully interweaves the conflicts of human and Na-6 interests with the internal strife among the Na-6 themselves, creating a layered narrative in which multiple forms of tension coexist, escalate, and resolve in ways that are emotionally satisfying and thematically resonant. In addition to the Ash people, the film introduces other Na-6 groups such as the Wind Traders, an air-based nomadic community who pilot massive floating vessels that traverse Pandora's skies. The Wind Traders serve as a narrative foil to the Ash people, highlighting alternative ways of interacting with the environment. Their culture, focused on exploration, trade, and harmony with the air currents and sky ecosystems, provides a visual and thematic contrast to the volcanic rigidity of Varang's clan. These new cultures enrich the lore of Pandora, demonstrating James Cameron's continued dedication to creating a fully realized and interconnected world. Every new tribe, biome, and societal structure is crafted with attention to detail, from the designs of ceremonial attire and architectural styles to the rituals and spiritual practices that define each group's identity. The opening sequences also establish the film's visual language, which is both familiar and innovative. Pandora's landscapes continue to be a visual spectacle, but Fire and Ash pushes the envelope with the inclusion of volcanic regions that glow with molten rivers and ash-laden skies. Cameron's team employs advanced motion capture techniques, underwater filming technology, and virtual production tools to create immersive environments that blend seamlessly with live-action performances. The integration of these technologies ensures that the fantastical elements of Pandora feel grounded and believable while enhancing the emotional resonance of the narrative. Scenes of Jake and Neytiri navigating these treacherous landscapes not only serve as action sequences but also metaphorically depict the characters' emotional journeys, emphasizing endurance, adaptability, and the consequences of loss and trauma. The film's narrative structure alternates between the personal and the epic, oscillating from intimate family moments to large-scale conflicts that threaten the stability of Pandora. Jake and Neytiri's parenting challenges are portrayed with remarkable authenticity, exploring how grief affects decision-making, interpersonal dynamics, and the development of resilience in children. Scenes of training, teaching, and nurturing are interspersed with strategic discussions about alliances and territorial disputes, reinforcing the duality of life on Pandora, personal survival and collective responsibility. The Ash people's influence introduces moral dilemmas and forces the Sully family to reconsider previously held beliefs about justice, strength, and cooperation. Through these interactions, the narrative explores the complexities of leadership, governance, and ethical decision-making within a culturally and environmentally diverse world. The emotional stakes are heightened by the portrayal of Jake Sully's internal struggle. As a former human who has fully integrated into Na-6 culture, Jake embodies the intersection of two worlds, carrying the knowledge, experience, and perspective of humanity while fully embracing the traditions, spirituality, and ethos of the Na-6. His identity as a bridge between species is tested repeatedly, as he must mediate between opposing factions, protect his family, and confront external threats. Jake's growth in this installment is closely tied to his ability to understand, empathize, and negotiate across cultural and personal boundaries, illustrating a thematic emphasis on diplomacy, emotional intelligence, and moral courage. Neytiri, as his partner, serves as both a moral compass and an active participant in strategic and cultural negotiations, demonstrating the film's commitment to multidimensional female characters and nuanced portrayals of leadership. The Ash people's rituals, depicted with intricate choreography and rich visual design, emphasize the cycle of destruction and renewal. Ceremonial fire dances, volcanic offerings, and ash-covered masks convey a sense of historical continuity and cultural identity, while also providing spectacular cinematic moments that showcase the film's technical artistry. These rituals are contrasted with the Wind Traders' aerial maneuvers and trading ceremonies, highlighting the diversity of belief systems and social structures among the Nausicaa. Through these visual and narrative contrasts, Fire and Ash explores themes of adaptation, resilience, and the ways in which environment shapes culture and morality. Meanwhile, Colonel Quaritch's machinations escalate in parallel with the unfolding intertribal conflicts. His strategic use of human technology against both the Sully family and the Ash people demonstrates the ongoing tension between technological intervention and natural order. Quaritch embodies the persistent human desire for control and dominance, serving as a counterpoint to the Nausicaa ethos of balance and interconnectedness. The film carefully constructs these dynamics to create suspense, challenge audience assumptions, and provide opportunities for ethical reflection. Quaritch's presence ensures that the narrative tension remains high throughout the film, providing a consistent adversarial force that is both personal and structural. The musical score, composed by Simon Franglen and incorporating themes established by James Horner, underscores the emotional and thematic resonance of the film. Lush orchestral arrangements, intertwined with traditional Nausicaa instruments and motifs, create a soundscape that enhances the immersive experience. Music is used strategically to heighten moments of tension, convey cultural identity, and evoke the inner emotional states of characters. In family sequences, softer melodic themes emphasize intimacy and vulnerability, while during battle sequences, rhythmic and dynamic compositions accentuate urgency, danger, and grandeur. The screenplay carefully balances exposition, dialogue, and action to maintain narrative flow while expanding the lore of Pandora. Character interactions are written with attention to emotional nuance, allowing audiences to connect deeply with the Sully family's struggles as well as with the motivations of the Ash people, Wind Traders, and other factions. The narrative pacing alternates between quiet reflection, strategic planning, exploration, and high-stakes conflict, creating a rhythm that mirrors the unpredictability and interconnectedness of Pandora itself. Environmental storytelling is a key component, with landscapes, architecture, and ceremonial spaces conveying historical, spiritual, and cultural information without relying solely on dialogue or narration. Avatar, Fire and Ash continues the saga of Pandora with an intensity and depth that surpasses its predecessors. The story begins 1 year after the death of Neytiri, the eldest son of Jake Sully and Neytiri, whose loss has cast a shadow over the Sully family and reshaped the emotional landscape of their lives. Jake, still grappling with his own sense of responsibility and guilt, is forced to confront the delicate balance between leadership and personal grief. Neytiri, simultaneously a grieving mother and a fierce warrior, struggles to maintain cohesion among her family while guiding the Nausicaa communities under her influence. The surviving children, Loeke, Kiri, and Spider, navigate their own journeys of loss and maturation. Loeke, burdened by survivor guilt and the responsibility of protecting younger siblings, begins to emerge as a leader among the younger generation of Nausicaa. Kiri, imbued with a rare spiritual sensitivity due to her connection to Iwa, perceives visions and warnings that foreshadow impending conflicts. Spider, representing a hybrid perspective as a human raised among the Nausicaa, provides insight into the delicate interface between human and Nausicaa worlds. The central tension of the narrative emerges with the arrival of the Ash people, a new Nausicaa clan whose territory spans the volcanic regions of Pandora. This clan, known as the Manquan, embodies a philosophy rooted in survival, fire, and strength. Their emergence challenges the established norms of the water and forest clans, as they question traditional spiritual practices and advocate a pragmatic, often ruthless approach to life and leadership. Varang, the leader of the Ash people, presents a compelling antagonist, intelligent, strategic, and physically formidable. She forces Jake and Neytiri to confront the limitations of their own philosophies. Her clan's approach to survival emphasizes resourcefulness and power over harmony and spirituality, creating ideological conflicts that mirror the physical confrontations erupting across Pandora. The introduction of the Ash people expands the political and cultural complexity of Pandora, illustrating the diversity of Nausicaa tribes and the potential consequences of environmental pressures on societal development. In parallel, the Wind Traders are introduced as a nomadic, sky-dwelling clan who inhabit vast manta ray-like vessels, traveling across Pandora's upper atmosphere. Led by Palak, this clan represents a philosophy of observation, patience, and diplomacy, contrasting with both the idealism of Jake and Neytiri and the aggression of the Ash people. Their aerial capabilities provide strategic advantages in battle and exploration, and their culture emphasizes interconnectedness with Pandora's skies and the spiritual dimensions of Iwa. The Wind Trader's inclusion adds visual and thematic richness, highlighting the multidimensionality of Pandora's ecosystems and the diversity of the Na-6 way of life. The narrative intricately weaves personal grief with the larger socio-political and environmental conflicts. Jake and Neytiri's family struggles with mourning while simultaneously attempting to unify disparate tribes to confront the Ash people and the ever-present human threat. Quaritch, resurrected and enhanced, leads human forces intent on Pandora's exploitation, maintaining the long-standing clash between industrial ambition and ecological reverence. This dual conflict, internal among the Na-6 and external with humans, underscores the cyclical nature of violence and the ethical complexities of leadership, as characters must navigate decisions that impact both individuals and entire civilizations. As the plot progresses, the Sully children take increasingly active roles. Loak engages in reconnaissance missions to study the Ash people, learning their strengths, weaknesses, and cultural motivations. Kiri interprets visions from Iwa, providing critical insights into potential disasters and guiding the Sully family in making difficult decisions. Spider mediates conflicts and provides perspectives on human Na-6 interactions, adding nuance to the negotiation of alliances. Each character's arc is deeply intertwined with the central conflict, ensuring that personal growth is inseparable from the unfolding political drama. The climactic battles of the film are set against the volatile and visually striking landscapes of the Ash people's volcanic territories. Lava flows, firestorms, and jagged rock formations serve as both environmental hazards and symbolic representations of the destructive and transformative power of conflict. The choreography of these battles emphasizes strategy, adaptability, and the unique abilities of both Na-6 and human participants. Cameron's use of advanced motion capture, CGI, and practical effects allows for immersive action sequences where the scale and stakes are fully realized, yet every confrontation retains emotional weight, ensuring that the violence resonates with the audience beyond spectacle. Throughout these conflicts, the narrative examines moral and philosophical questions. Varang challenges the Sully family to reconsider their leadership methods, questioning whether idealism and spirituality are sufficient in the face of survivalist pragmatism. Jake and Neytiri must navigate the tension between enforcing their principles and adapting to the demands of realpolitik. The Wind Trader's philosophy of restraint and observation serves as a foil, demonstrating alternative strategies for conflict resolution and leadership. These ideological confrontations mirror the broader environmental and spiritual themes of Pandora, reinforcing the film's emphasis on balance, interconnectedness, and the ethical responsibilities of power. The personal narratives of the Sully family are punctuated by moments of introspection, ritual, and interaction with Pandora's diverse ecosystems. Kiri's spiritual explorations reveal previously unseen aspects of Iwa's consciousness, offering warnings that prevent catastrophic missteps. Loak's leadership journey reflects the burdens and growth associated with inherited responsibility, while Spider's hybrid identity continues to challenge both Na-6 and human norms, illustrating the complexities of cross-cultural integration. The interplay of these arcs ensures that the narrative maintains emotional resonance even amid large-scale conflicts and visually spectacular sequences. In the resolution, the Sully family and their allies achieve a tenuous equilibrium with the Ash people. While the conflict is resolved through both negotiation and strategic victories, the film emphasizes that reconciliation and cultural understanding are ongoing processes rather than finite outcomes. Varang undergoes transformation in her leadership philosophy, influenced by exposure to the Sully family's principles and the ecological realities of Pandora. The Wind Traders continue to serve as observers and mediators, ensuring that the balance among tribes and ecosystems is maintained. Jake and Neytiri, having navigated both personal and political challenges, emerge as more seasoned leaders, capable of guiding their people through the continuing uncertainties of Pandora's future. From a technical perspective, Fire and Ash pushes cinematic boundaries. The performance capture technology allows actors' expressions and movements to be translated with unprecedented realism onto their Na-6 avatars. CGI environments seamlessly blend with practical sets, creating Pandora's volcanic regions, forests, oceans, and skies as fully immersive, living spaces. Cameron's meticulous attention to detail extends to tribal designs, clothing, rituals, and language, offering audiences a culturally rich and visually coherent world. The film's soundtrack, enhanced by contemporary contributions, underscores the emotional arcs and thematic weight of the story, reinforcing both the grandeur and intimacy of the narrative. Avatar: Fire and Ash also lays the groundwork for Avatar 4 and Avatar 5, setting narrative threads that explore the long-term consequences of intertribal alliances, human intervention, and ecological stewardship. The resolution of the current conflicts, while satisfying in the short term, leaves room for future challenges, moral dilemmas, and the continued evolution of Pandora's cultures and environments. The Sully children's growth, the Ash people's ideological transformation, and the Wind Traders' ongoing mediation ensure that the narrative arc extends far beyond the events of this installment, promising continuity and depth for the remaining sequels. Ultimately, Fire and Ash combine spectacle with introspection, personal grief with political complexity, and ecological reverence with cultural diversity. By intertwining individual character journeys with expansive world building, Cameron has created a film that is both emotionally resonant and visually transformative. Pandora emerges as a planet of interconnected life forms, each culture shaped by its environment, history, and spiritual beliefs. The Sully family, newly tested and resilient, stands as both guardians and participants in this ongoing saga, embodying the franchise's central themes of balance, responsibility, and the enduring power of hope amidst adversity. The resolution of Avatar: Fire and Ash is shaped by the convergence of character arcs, intertribal negotiations, and ecological interactions, all of which are deeply intertwined with the narrative's emotional and philosophical core. The Sully family, having confronted profound grief and personal loss, gradually begins to navigate a path toward reconciliation and unity. Jake Sully's journey reaches a turning point as he integrates the lessons of leadership learned through both human and Na-6 experiences. He demonstrates the ability to make strategic choices that balance immediate survival needs with ethical considerations and the long-term well-being of his clan. Jake's leadership is not portrayed as infallible, rather, it is depicted as adaptive, reflective, and responsive to both internal and external pressures. His decisions emphasize that the exercise of power is inseparable from moral responsibility, and his evolution underscores one of the film's central themes: the capacity to break cycles of violence and act with foresight. Neytiri's character arc is similarly complex, with her emotional intelligence and capacity for empathy emerging as essential to resolving conflict and guiding the Sully family through moral and strategic challenges. Her interactions with Varang and other tribal leaders illustrate that dialogue, negotiation, and understanding are as crucial to effective leadership as physical strength or combat prowess. Neytiri embodies the fusion of warrior spirit and maternal care, highlighting the importance of integrating personal values with communal obligations. Through her actions, the film explores the necessity of emotional resilience and moral clarity in navigating crises, reinforcing Cameron's thematic emphasis on the interplay of ethics, responsibility, and survival. Kiri Sully, as a bridge between generations, assumes an increasingly central role in mediating cultural conflicts and understanding ecological systems. Her intuitive connection with Pandora's life forms, spiritual awareness, and insight into clan dynamics positions her as both a strategic advisor and a moral compass within the narrative. Kiri's growth highlights the significance of intergenerational wisdom and the adaptive capacity of societies to integrate new knowledge while respecting tradition. Her arc demonstrates how younger leaders can both honor historical legacy and innovate solutions to contemporary challenges, reinforcing the overarching narrative of continuity, resilience, and growth. The Ash people, under Varang's leadership, experience an arc that reflects cultural evolution and ethical complexity. Initially driven by historical trauma and a worldview rooted in survival and aggression, Varang gradually confronts the limitations and consequences of her strategies. Interactions with the Sully family and the Wind Traders prompt moments of introspection, negotiation, and ethical reassessment. The Ash people's journey illustrates the capacity of societies to break free from cycles of violence and integrate lessons from past experience into new cultural frameworks. Their evolution is expressed through both symbolic rituals and practical adaptations to environmental and social realities, providing a nuanced portrayal of cultural resilience, ethical development, and the potential for reconciliation across historically antagonistic groups. The Wind Traders play a critical role in facilitating dialogue, mediation, and environmental awareness throughout the resolution. Their expertise in aerial navigation and ecological observation allows them to anticipate conflicts, identify opportunities for intervention, and offer alternative strategies grounded in foresight and cooperation. By acting as intermediaries and advisors, the Wind Traders demonstrate the power of diplomacy, the value of cultural literacy, and the strategic advantage of integrating ecological knowledge into social and political decision-making. Their contributions underscore the film's emphasis on interconnectedness, demonstrating that the resolution of conflict requires both ethical reasoning and practical adaptation to environmental and cultural realities. The ecological resolution of fire and ash is equally intricate. The volcanic regions, oceans, and aerial ecosystems of Pandora all participate in the narrative conclusion, reflecting the principle that environmental and social systems are interdependent. Lava flows, volcanic eruptions, tidal patterns, and aerial currents all influence the strategies employed by the Na6 clans, human interlopers, and hybrid forces. Ecological literacy becomes a central narrative tool, demonstrating how knowledge of species behavior, plant responses, and environmental dynamics can be leveraged to achieve both tactical and ethical outcomes. The interconnectedness of Pandora's systems reinforces the film's thematic exploration of ecological responsibility, emphasizing that actions, whether motivated by survival, revenge, or ambition, carry consequences across both biological and social networks. Human intervention, represented primarily by Quaritch, reaches a climax in this resolution. His presence challenges the Na6 to consider the ethical dimensions of revenge, reconciliation, and coexistence with entities that embody both familiar threats and unfamiliar capacities. Quaritch's arc demonstrates that transformation, adaptation, and perspective shifting are possible but require moral courage, reflection, and the willingness to abandon previously held grievances. His interactions with Jake, Neytiri, and other key characters highlight the tension between past behaviors and future potential, illustrating the film's exploration of identity, redemption, and ethical evolution. The narrative treats Quaritch not merely as an antagonist but as a complex agent whose choices illuminate broader questions about conflict, morality, and the capacity for change. Production innovations continue to be integral to Fire and Ash's storytelling. Motion capture technology, particularly in extreme conditions such as volcanic ash, lava fields, and underwater currents, allows actors to perform with authenticity while interacting with digital environments. CGI integration ensures seamless interactions with Pandora's ecosystems, from bioluminescent flora and fauna to aerial and aquatic species. Lighting design, particle simulation, and environmental rendering maintain visual coherence and immersion, while sound design and musical scoring underscore both narrative tension and emotional depth. Cameron's approach demonstrates a holistic integration of technological innovation, storytelling, and thematic exploration, ensuring that the visual spectacle serves the narrative rather than overshadowing it. The ecological complexity extends to Pandora's flora and fauna. New species, adapted to extreme heat, volcanic emissions, and the dynamics of ash-laden air, populate the volcanic regions. These include symbiotic organisms that interact with both the ash people and natural environmental processes, predatory species that challenge survival strategies, and resilient plant life that demonstrates adaptation and ecological intelligence. Aquatic ecosystems reveal intricate social hierarchies among marine species, cooperative hunting and defense strategies, and mutualistic relationships with Na6 clans. Aerial species, ranging from flying predators to migratory flocks, interact dynamically with the Wind Traders' movements, creating a living, breathing ecosystem where every entity, from microfauna to apex predators, influences the narrative's unfolding events. The film's thematic layers are fully realized in these intertwined ecological, cultural, and personal narratives. The cycles of violence, the consequences of trauma, and the potential for reconciliation are mirrored in both social interactions and ecological processes. Just as volcanic eruptions and lava flows reshape the landscape, so too do the decisions and behaviors of characters reshape social and political dynamics. This interplay emphasizes Cameron's overarching philosophy, that ethical responsibility, environmental awareness, and cultural understanding are inseparable from leadership, survival, and societal evolution. The narrative posits that true resolution requires awareness of interconnected systems, social, ecological, and personal, and the capacity to act with both foresight and moral clarity. By the narrative's conclusion, the Sully family achieves a form of reconciliation with the Ash people, facilitated by Curie's mediation, the Wind Traders' diplomacy, and strategic choices that respect both ecological and cultural realities. The resolution emphasizes balance, demonstrating that conflict need not be perpetuated indefinitely and that cycles of aggression can be disrupted through understanding, empathy, and ethical action. Characters are left transformed, with a deeper appreciation for the responsibilities of leadership, the consequences of choices, and the importance of integrating ecological, social, and spiritual awareness into decision-making. The visual and technical achievements of the film reinforce these narrative and thematic resolutions. Lava flows, volcanic plumes, ocean currents, and aerial thermals are depicted with scientific plausibility and artistic grandeur, ensuring that environmental challenges are both visually compelling and narratively meaningful. Bioluminescent organisms, ecological symbioses, and dynamic environmental changes provide not only aesthetic richness but also tangible narrative consequences, emphasizing the inseparability of ecological knowledge and survival strategy. The integration of live-action performances with digital environments maintains emotional authenticity, ensuring that character arcs resonate even amid epic spectacle. Music and sound remain integral to emotional and narrative continuity. The score adapts to diverse environments, shifting from the deep, resonant tones of volcanic landscapes to the airy, melodic sequences of aerial travel and the fluid harmonies of underwater ecosystems. Sound effects are similarly adaptive, ensuring that environmental changes, creature interactions, and human or NaVi actions are both audible and emotionally resonant. Music underscores moments of triumph, grief, tension, and reflection, connecting audiences to the characters' internal states while maintaining immersive engagement with Pandora's landscapes. In conclusion, Avatar, Fire and Ash represents a culmination of narrative, technological, and thematic ambition. Its storytelling weaves together personal grief, intertribal diplomacy, ecological literacy, ethical dilemmas, and environmental realism into a coherent and emotionally resonant narrative. Characters are fully realized, their arcs integrating past experiences, cultural heritage, and environmental awareness into decisions that shape both immediate outcomes and long-term societal evolution. Pandora's ecosystems are not merely backdrops but active participants in narrative events, influencing strategy, ethical decision-making, and social interaction. The Sully family, the Ash people, the Wind Traders, and human antagonists navigate a complex web of ecological, cultural, and moral challenges, ultimately demonstrating the potential for reconciliation, ethical growth, and the integration of wisdom across generations and species. The December 19, 2025 release positions the film as a significant cinematic event, inviting audiences to engage not only with spectacular visuals and action but also with the rich thematic explorations of grief, leadership, ecological responsibility, cultural diversity, and ethical decision-making. Fire and Ash sets the stage for the remaining films in the Avatar saga, providing a narrative and emotional foundation for future sequels while delivering a deeply immersive cinematic experience. Cameron's vision of Pandora as an interconnected, living world, where ecological and social systems are inextricably linked, continues to redefine the possibilities of science fiction storytelling, combining spectacle, philosophical inquiry, and character-driven drama into a singular, comprehensive cinematic work that resonates on multiple levels and solidifies the enduring legacy of the Avatar franchise. Following the climactic confrontations, the story turns its focus to the intricate relationships between the NaVi tribes, their creatures, and the technological innovations they employ. One of the most striking aspects of fire and ash is the way creatures are portrayed not merely as background elements or tools of war but as essential participants in both cultural and tactical practices. The ash people, for example, have trained specialized fire-adapted beasts capable of navigating molten terrain, responding to commands with precision, and exhibiting behaviors that reflect both instinct and learned obedience. These creatures act as extensions of tribal identity, reinforcing cultural cohesion while providing strategic advantages in combat. The bond between the ash people and their volcanic companions is depicted with care, illustrating mutual respect and interdependence despite the harshness of their environment. Similarly, the Metkayina clan's aquatic allies, including massive reef-dwelling predators and schools of cooperative fish-like creatures, demonstrate symbiotic relationships where survival, hunting, and defense are deeply integrated. Underwater sequences showcase advanced tactics involving synchronized movement, environmental manipulation, and strategic utilization of native fauna. Kiri's spiritual awareness further enhances these interactions, as she senses shifts in ecosystem behavior that provide both warnings and opportunities. The film presents these interactions with a level of ecological realism that emphasizes the interconnectedness of all life on Pandora, reinforcing the recurring theme that cultural survival depends on harmonious coexistence with the environment. The Wind Trader's aerial creatures, some reminiscent of manta rays and others with luminescent features unique to Pandora's skies, are depicted as integral to the clan's way of life. These creatures serve purposes ranging from reconnaissance and rapid transportation to defense and ceremonial display. Their inclusion underscores the diversity of NaVi's survival strategies and the ways in which environment, biology, and culture intersect. Cameron's depiction of flight sequences integrates physicality, behavior, and environmental response, creating a sense of authenticity that complements narrative tension and character development. The Wind Traders' bond with their creatures emphasizes themes of freedom, mobility, and the ethical use of natural allies, contrasting with the Ash people's more utilitarian approach. In addition to creatures, the film emphasizes NaVi's rituals and ceremonies as central to both plot progression and world building. Rituals of mourning, initiation, and alliance are depicted in detail, providing insight into the social structures, moral codes, and spiritual beliefs of the NaVi. For instance, moments of grief within the Sully family are honored through ceremonial practices that blend symbolic gestures with communal support, reinforcing cultural cohesion while highlighting individual emotional journeys. Similarly, the Ash people engage in rites that celebrate endurance and resilience, reflecting the values forged in extreme volcanic environments. The Wind Traders' ceremonial flights and light displays function as both social unification and communication, signaling intentions, alliances, or territorial presence to other clans. These cultural practices are not mere exposition but actively influence narrative outcomes, shaping negotiations, strategic decisions, and conflict resolution. Technology, though far less dominant than in human-centric storytelling, is presented thoughtfully, primarily through Spider's interventions. His knowledge of human tools, combined with NaVi's understanding, allows for inventive adaptations that respect ecological balance while enhancing strategic capability. Communication devices, environmental sensors, and tactical enhancements are depicted as complementary rather than overwhelming, ensuring that technology serves narrative and thematic purposes rather than detracting from the NaVi-centric perspective. This careful integration maintains the franchise's commitment to portraying Pandora as a self-sufficient world while acknowledging the potential contributions and dangers of human ingenuity. Environmental consequences of conflict are explored with depth, as battles leave tangible marks on Pandora's ecosystems. Lava flows diverted by combat, ash clouds altering local climates, and damaged coral reefs serve as reminders of the interconnectedness of life and the fragility of ecological systems. These consequences force characters to consider long-term implications of their actions, reinforcing the moral and ethical stakes of warfare. Jake Sully, Neytiri, and their allies must navigate these challenges while balancing the immediate need for survival with the preservation of cultural and environmental integrity. The film repeatedly underscores the idea that survival is multidimensional, encompassing physical safety, cultural cohesion, and environmental stewardship. Political alliances shift dynamically in response to evolving threats. Negotiations between the Metkayina, Wind Traders, and Ash people illustrate the fluidity of tribal relationships, emphasizing diplomacy, mutual respect, and adaptability as crucial survival skills. Varang's eventual willingness to engage in dialogue, though fraught with tension and mutual suspicion, demonstrates the potential for reconciliation and the importance of recognizing shared stakes. These alliances culminate in coordinated strategies that leverage each clan's unique strengths: volcanic adaptation, aquatic agility, and aerial mobility, creating an integrated force capable of defending Pandora against both internal and external threats. The depiction of these alliances reinforces the narrative's broader message: cooperation, empathy, and understanding across cultural and environmental boundaries are essential to collective survival. Final moral reflections in the film revolve around the themes of grief, resilience, and the ethics of leadership. Jake and Neytiri reconcile personal loss with broader responsibilities, modeling how emotional intelligence, courage, and cultural knowledge intersect in decision-making. Loeke's emergence as a leader, Kiri's heightened spiritual perception, and Spider's hybrid perspective collectively demonstrate the importance of diverse skills, perspectives, and experiences in navigating complex challenges. Varang's transformation from uncompromising pragmatist to negotiated participant underscores the potential for ethical reflection and growth, even in characters initially perceived as adversaries. Through these arcs, the narrative conveys that moral clarity is rarely absolute, and ethical choices often require balancing competing priorities, risks, and values. Cultural outcomes following the battles demonstrate the resilience and adaptability of Pandora's inhabitants. The Ash people, while initially resistant to compromise, begin integrating lessons from cooperation with other clans, refining strategies that respect both survival imperatives and the cultural norms of their neighbors. The Metkayina and Wind Traders solidify their relationships, establishing protocols for mutual aid, resource sharing, and environmental protection. These developments reinforce the narrative's emphasis on cultural fluidity, interdependence, and long-term sustainability. Cameron's attention to detail ensures that these outcomes are both believable and thematically consistent, highlighting the consequences of conflict resolution, diplomacy, and cultural negotiation. Ultimately, the film closes on an emotionally and narratively satisfying note, blending spectacle, character development, ecological storytelling, and philosophical reflection. The Sully family's journey from grief to resilience, the evolution of intertribal relationships, and the environmental restoration efforts collectively create a portrait of a world where survival depends on intelligence, empathy, and respect for interconnected systems. Creatures, rituals, and cultural practices continue to enrich the narrative, emphasizing that life on Pandora is a holistic experience encompassing physical, emotional, cultural, and ecological dimensions. By seamlessly integrating these elements, Avatar, Fire and Ash achieves a narrative that is both epic in scope and intimate in emotional resonance, reinforcing the franchise's commitment to immersive, thoughtful storytelling. The visual and technological achievements of Avatar, Fire and Ash are central to its impact, continuing James Cameron's tradition of pushing the boundaries of cinematic innovation. Motion capture technology, both on land and underwater, has been refined to an extraordinary degree, allowing actors to convey subtle facial expressions and physical nuances that are seamlessly translated into their NaVi counterparts. This creates a level of emotional authenticity that is rarely achieved in CGI-heavy films. Underwater capture, which was pioneered in The Way of Water, reaches new heights in this installment, with sequences that depict the Sully family navigating submerged landscapes, engaging in intricate aquatic maneuvers, and interacting with a variety of marine creatures. These underwater scenes are visually breathtaking and narratively significant, reinforcing themes of family, community, and adaptation to challenging environments. Aerial cinematography is another area where Fire and Ash excels. The Wind Traders sequences, combined with the dynamic battle scenes involving the Ash people, showcase Cameron's expertise in creating fluid, kinetic visual narratives. Cameras track gliders and airborne creatures in ways that create a sense of motion and speed, immersing the audience in the experience of flight. The choreography of these sequences is meticulously planned, with environmental factors such as wind currents, volcanic ash, and cloud formations incorporated to enhance realism and narrative tension. These aerial spectacles are not merely for visual delight, they serve to highlight strategic thinking, teamwork, and the physical and cultural adaptability of Pandora's inhabitants, blending spectacle with story in a manner that is emblematic of the franchise's narrative philosophy. Set and environmental design in Fire and Ash continues to operate symbolically as well as functionally. Volcanic landscapes inhabited by the Ash people are designed with attention to geological plausibility while also serving as a metaphor for their culture, history, and emotional state. The use of light, shadow, and color in these regions conveys tension, danger, and resilience, creating a visual language that communicates narrative and thematic content without dialogue. Bioluminescent forests, reflective waters, and intricate underwater flora further enhance the immersive quality of Pandora, while symbolically reinforcing the interconnectedness of all living systems. Cameron's team has meticulously layered these details, ensuring that each environment contributes to the storytelling and thematic resonance of the film. The soundtrack and orchestral composition play a crucial role in shaping the audience's emotional journey. Building on motifs established in the first two films, the score integrates traditional orchestral elements with culturally inspired instrumentation that reflects the diversity of Nausicaa societies. Themes associated with specific characters, clans, or emotional states are woven throughout the film, creating a musical continuity that reinforces narrative development. Moments of tension, sorrow, triumph, and wonder are enhanced by the score, providing a multisensory experience that deepens engagement and emotional resonance. Cameron's collaboration with composers and sound designers ensures that music and sound effects are not ancillary elements but integral components of the storytelling process, reinforcing both narrative and thematic depth. World building in Fire and Ash reaches a new level of intricacy. Each Nausicaa clan is depicted with unique cultural practices, architectural styles, and environmental adaptations. The Ash people's volcanic settlements, for example, incorporate both practical survival features and symbolic design elements that reflect their history, values, and social structure. The Metkayina's aquatic architecture demonstrates harmony with the surrounding marine ecosystem, while the Wind Trader's aerial platforms highlight mobility, ingenuity, and ecological awareness. These details are not mere decoration, they serve to reinforce themes of environmental stewardship, cultural identity, and the interplay between nature and society. The immersive quality of the world building allows audiences to engage with Pandora as a living, breathing ecosystem, enhancing both narrative believability and emotional investment. Cinematography and lighting continue to play a critical role in establishing tone, mood, and symbolism. Volcanic regions are illuminated with fiery hues that convey both danger and vitality, while underwater sequences employ filtered lighting and color gradients to evoke depth, serenity, and emotional introspection. Forested regions are imbued with the glow of bioluminescence, creating a dreamlike ambience that emphasizes the mystical and spiritual dimensions of Pandora. Cameron's integration of these elements ensures that visual storytelling complements character development and thematic exploration, creating a cohesive cinematic experience that engages the viewer intellectually, emotionally, and aesthetically. The film also demonstrates an extraordinary integration of narrative, performance, and technology, ensuring that technical achievement serves storytelling rather than overshadowing it. Motion capture allows actors to deliver nuanced performances that are directly translated into the Nausicaa's characters, while environmental and visual effects enhance narrative context and emotional impact. The careful coordination of these elements ensures that the audience experiences a world that is both fantastical and emotionally credible, reinforcing the franchise's ongoing commitment to combining spectacle with substantive storytelling.